Well, hello creatives, and happy holidays, happy New Year. In fact, this is New Year's. I hope you all had a great earlier holiday season and are enjoying your New Year's as well. And I hope you all have a great New Year and much health and happiness and prosperity to all of you. I thought today I would do a very quick video, and I was looking at some of the supplies that I got from Temu, and I got some watercolor papers, and I would like to check and see how they compare to each other. Now, they all said they were 100% cotton, so I started a little quick little painting on one of them, but I'd like to compare that with the others and see how identical paintings and paints perform with these different papers that I've gotten through Temu. I have in mind to get maybe some larger sizes of these, so I wanted to try the smaller ones, and maybe by doing a little demo here you can also see if any of these are worthwhile for you to purchase. Now, I'm not affiliated in any way with Temu. I'm not like a spokesperson or anything. I just picked these up a while ago and I thought I would try them. So let's go ahead and get started with that. But first, I would like to send a shout out to my friend. She's a pen pal of mine in Canada, and she has quickly grown into a dear friend. And she so kindly sent me this wonderful teacup, and it's been brewing here. So I'm going to take out the tea. It comes with a very nice lid, a ceramic lid, to keep the tea warm. So this is perfect for my studio at times when I don't have the stove on, like today. It's not terribly cold, so I left the stove off, but it's got a great little tea strainer there, so I can take that out, put that aside for now, and I can still enjoy my tea. Oh, perfect for here. Perfect. It's a mint tea, and I can keep the lid on it to keep it warm. What just a wonderful, thoughtful gift. But she runs a YouTube channel as well, and it's got all kinds of interesting life hacks and things from her experience, which I really enjoy watching. And she recently was traveling and did a little tour of some of the shops in a city she visited. So I'll go ahead and link the YouTube channel below. It's in French, and unfortunately I do not speak French. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, so I'll leave the link below, but worth checking out if you like those kinds of videos. So thank you to her so much. I am so lucky and blessed to have a friend that thinks of me like that, so I'm very grateful for that. Okay, let's get started on the video. And I have some supplies here to use. I'm going to do a basic galaxy, a very simple galaxy painting. And this is something that you can either follow along with or do later. But I'll tell you what I'm using here. I'm using some gouache, some white gouache I have. This is Marie's gouache. And in conjunction with that, to make like the stars in the sky, I have an old toothbrush that I'm going to mix up the gouache a little watery and then just kind of, you know, sprinkle it on the paint. I've got some brushes here, so just basic brushes, nothing special. I always carry scissors. I don't know why I have scissors with me, but I do. Then I'm trying these three types of paper. One is Layton watercolor block. It's cold pressed. It's 18 centimeters by 12.5 or 7 by 5. That's kind of a nice size. I like that size. Fun to experiment on. This does say it's 100% cotton. It's got 20 sheets. Nice little watercolor block. It's a block, and it's solid painted on most sides. It's got a little spot there that you can peel it off. Then I've got this one, which is Potentate. And this is 65 by 155 millimeters and 100% cotton. It's 300 GSM, hot press. It has 12 sheets, a little small one. All of these were just a few dollars. They weren't really expensive. But I like this format because it lends itself to making anything with a long format, like a long landscape, if you have something like that you want to do. But I have in mind to use this for a bookmark. So I'm going to use it for that. And then I do have, and that is not a block, by the way. Those are just sheets attached on the top with a gummed top. These are loose sheets. They're Meeden watercolor paper. This is 4x3. It's got 10 sheets. It's cold press. Again, this one's 100% cotton. This one also 100% cotton. So these are all 100% cotton. This one's acid free. It's got a nice little texture to it. I don't know if you can see that. The back side of this one has a similar texture. It's a little less grainy than the front, but you can definitely see there's a front and a back to those. But I think they do come in hot press as well as cold press. But let's get going and see what we can make of this. I've already taped these down, and I like this. I'm using up the last bit that I have of this. Unfortunately, I'll have to get some more. It's a tape from Jackson's. They got it from Jackson's Art Supply, which I highly recommend. If you have never tried Jackson's before, definitely do. They have a lot of nice things that they don't have here in the States, and the prices are reasonable depending on the exchange rate at the time. But they have some things that I haven't seen, in the U.S. in certain places. Certainly, we have tape that we can get in our art stores or mail order in the U.S. But I like this tape because you can see through it. It's not distracting like washi tape would be. Washi tape tends to be a little expensive for me too. I try not to use washi tape, but I can actually see the border I'm making with this. It's still a little crooked, but I did my best on this. This is just a practice thing, but I do like this tape. If you're interested, I'll put a link below. By the way, if that's your first time purchasing through Jackson's, you can get a 10% discount from the link I leave below. And also it does help me. I do get a little stipend from them. I am affiliated. I also encourage you, if you've purchased from Jackson's before, to use my link below. That also still helps me. I still get a little stipend, even though there won't be a discount for you, unfortunately, if it's not your first purchase. But I do get a little stipend from any purchase you get, even if you go on the site to look at the tape and you decide to get something else. Whatever you purchase going on that link initially, I will still get a little bit of a bonus. So that helps me bring you some videos and try out some products like this that I can tell you about that you might not know exist. So let's move forward. All right, now I didn't tell you what I'm using for paint. I'm using my Schmenka. And I think what I'm going to do is use purple magenta with a chromium yellow hue. So those are going to be some bright colors. And then I'll mix that again with a background of either Prussian blue or phthalo blue. So I've got some good colors going on here that I will use. And let me go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to get my palette in here so we can see what I'm doing. And I'll move this over a little bit. Okay. I should have brought my really big brush. I have a really big brush that I use for this kind of thing. First off, I'm going to wet the surface here, though. I'm going to give it a good... Make sure you can see that. I have to be careful because with this camera setup, the connection does not allow me to flip up the lens, the window, so I can't really see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. But let me go ahead and start with the one first, and I'll mix up some of the paint. And get a paper towel here. I'll mix up some of this paint with another brush. I'm just using a, what is this? It doesn't even say. It's just a no-name thing I got on Amazon. This one is a Jackson's Icon number 4. I love these Icon brushes. They are, I believe these are not animal-based. They don't have the synthetic fibers. So that's preferable for me. I think now the brushes are getting so good that you don't really need sable or anything like that. Although, that's the standard that's always been used for years and years and years. The Winsor & Newton being ones that I think everybody knows and kind of everybody envies. But now with animal awareness, we don't always want to use something like that. So I'm just going to do a little abstract here like that, and then wipe my brush off and get some of the, I believe this is the magenta. If it's not, well, no, it's not. That is not. This is the magenta right here. Okay. Otherwise we'd be in trouble. I would probably get a little bit of a muddy color, but I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I need a little darker color than that. Just a little, wow, that's vibrant. Just a little bit. Mix it in with that. Let it flow together. Just let it flow together. This is just a fun little thing. It's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what's nice about these things. If you don't want to sit there and draw and worry about, does this look right? Is the proportion right? You don't have to worry about it with this kind of thing. This is just a fun little thing to do. Okay, now here we go. This one, whatever blue this winds up being, that's going to be the background. I think this is Prussian blue. It looks like Prussian blue. I hope it mixes well. Hope I don't get mud out of this. If I get mud, then, oh well. That's awful light, though. I probably should have a darker color. Maybe I can get some purple in there with it. Or maybe I'll ruin it by putting too many colors in. You ever do that? You're trying to do something and you think a certain color will look better than what you've got, and it just doesn't. It comes out horribly wrong. But I want to get some darkness into the edges there. Now see, I'm working wet and wet, so I've got this quite wet, and I'm going to let it stay pretty wet. While I do this, I can pull up some of that water that's on the edge. I seem to have a lot of it over here. I can pull some of that up. You can just pull it right up with your brush. You don't have to use a paper towel. All right, that's going to get a little darker there. That looks like a little candy thing there. Candy design with the orange and the, I don't know quite if that's a, what do they call these things, a nebula or galaxy painting. It kind of looks a little bright there. It doesn't look very real. I think it's the bright pink that I did. Maybe I can dumb that down a little bit. All right, now here's me playing with this, trying to make it like more realistic. I don't know if I'm going to make it worse or better, but you know what? We're experimenting. Let's play with the paint and see what comes out. It's still wet enough that I can kind of get in there and mess with it a little. I don't know if I'm going to ruin it, but let's try to do something different. It looks pretty regardless. The colors look pretty, so I'll take it at that. Let's get some darkness up there in the edges, in the corners. Oh, gotta get it in there. All right, edges. Let's get the edges a little darker. Right there, and I think we'll leave it at that. Let's leave that at that. Let it dry a little bit. I don't know if it'll be wonderful or horrible or what, but we're going to let it dry. I'm going to pull some of this up because it's too wet. It'll take forever to dry. Probably freeze before it dries. Speaking of the cold, I'm going to have a sip of my tea. Ah, what a wonderful idea to have a lid like that. That is just great. Keeps the heat in. Fantastic. If it gets really cold, I can just wrap my hands around the cup and it will warm me. All right, let me get that out of the light here for a second so you can see. And I will move on to the second one. So we're going to do these in stages. Let me go ahead and get this wet. Got a lot of water on here. Now that Meeden paper took the wash very well. The sizing felt like I could play with it a while. I didn't pill up or anything or crumble. It's kind of nice. I like it. But Meeden is a quality company, so I would expect that from them. Let's go ahead and do the same with this. And I'll use the same colors for the sake of continuity here. Not that I really think that came out so well as a choice, as a color choice. But you know, experiment a little bit. Do some fun things with your paints and colors. Play around with them, see what happens. All right. I don't want it to look too even. Probably look better if it's lopsided more on one side. Get some hairs in there too. I don't want that. Okay, so let's leave that. Go on to the, I'm going to put a little bit of this pink in there. I'm not going to put a lot this time. I'm just going to go kind of touch up a little bit where that is joining the yellow and kind of mix it in a little bit. Maybe get a little orange color going on there. And maybe over here a little bit too. Bleed that into the yellow. See what comes of that. Okay, now look at that burst effect. Look at how that spreads on this paper. This is very nice paper too. Okay, let's go ahead and we're putting in the blue. We'll drop in the blue for the background. Maybe it's the blue that bothers me. Maybe that's a little too bright. But in the interest of matching it and testing it with another paper, I don't want to change the colors at this point. It doesn't really matter to me as a finished product. I'm not doing anything special with this. I'll just look at it from time to time, get some inspiration. But as far as needing it to be a great color, I'm not worried about it. In fact, if I want to go back and do another one, I've learned what? I've learned not to use that color. And this is what's good about painting. You know, you play with your paints and you learn as you go. You don't get perfect results right out of the gate every single time. And don't believe that anybody else does. Don't believe it. Even the best artists will goof up sometimes. But the point is to use these things and play with them and see what you're going to get out of them. See how they change the colors. Now look, just mixing that with the blue I had, it doesn't look purple, it doesn't look blue. It's just kind of a darker new color. But I'm going to leave these purples over here. All right, I think I should let it go and stop playing with it because I'm going to fuss with it too much and make some mud. So let's stop. That doesn't even look natural now. I don't know what a nebula looks like, but let's move that into that direction. Okay, let's stop now. Let these dry. I'm going to pull up any excess water I've got on the sides here so that it has a chance to dry because it's still a little cool here. We're January, you know, so it's supposed to be cool. But in fact, it's New Year's Day. All right. Quit playing around with it. Come on. See, you know, do you do this too? Can't stop playing with it. All right, stop playing with it. Stop. All right, I will come back when this is dry. In the meantime, I am going to have some more of my tea, and I will see you in a bit. All right, so I've given this time to dry. It's dried. I brought it in the house to let it dry off because it's still a little cool in here. And compared to this, there's my other, move this over for a second. There's my other paper. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and I've mixed up some gouache on here, and I'm going to take a toothbrush. Let me wet the toothbrush a little bit, and I'll go ahead and see if I can get, looks like the right consistency. It leaves a little bit of a mark there. Let me go ahead and get some on there, and I'll test it on a piece of paper that came with this as a cover. So let's see how that's going to work. That's not too bad. It comes out a little light. A little fine. I wish it was a little, let me get that a little waterier. Whoa, not that watery. That's not what you want. Just want to get some splats on here. That might be okay. I just have to watch that dripping. I made it a little too wet, but let's just go ahead with this. Give it some little drips there to resemble stars. And see if we can turn these into little skyscapes, starscapes. I do want some big blotches on there. I don't want like all the things to be the same color, the same size, because then it doesn't look like stars. You have stars and planets that are close and far away, so I'd like it to be a little bit of everything there. And it didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to. I wanted some patterns or concentrations of the stars to go across the page. That makes it look like more like a galaxy rather than just random stars. But this is what we got. I'm just experimenting. This is really for the purpose of comparing the types of papers that I've got. The types of papers that I've got. So I rinsed that off. I can use that brush another time. And I can also use this gouache. It's very watery, but it will dry out. I can use that another time. That's going to be easily re-wetted, and I'm not going to waste it. So that's fine by me. Now, as far as the quality of these papers, they don't really seem very, very vibrant, do they? I don't know. They are cotton. They all have a nice feel to them. They all do have a nice feel to them. I don't know if this is really a good test of the quality. I'd say the Meeden was the best of the three, as far as you can see a lot of the spreading out of the paint. And you saw that as I was doing it. This one actually isn't bad either. They're all pretty good. They're all cotton. They're definitely all cotton. As far as like comparing them to something like Arches, they're really, Arches is the best of the best. So if you're going to paint something that's going to be your masterpiece, you're going to work on it for a while, and you want to keep it or give it away or sell it. Arches, of course, is the best, but these are not bad for cotton, and I'm seeing a lot more variety or companies offering cotton paper, 100% cotton paper, which is so much better than pulp paper. Pulp paper is great for testing, for composition work, to work out your compositions or to try different colors or swatching a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you do dry brush, a lot of times pulp paper is just fine. But if you're doing any kind of wet on wet, cotton is really the way to go if you can do it, if you can afford it. That's really the best. But these are nicely priced alternatives to some of the more expensive papers. And even if you get like some small sizes like this is kind of a nice little size, you can still practice on this. You can still do some nice little paintings on this. You don't have to get a huge sheet which would be more expensive. And these are relatively affordable for cotton paper. If you want to just try these out, that's fine. It's very affordable with these types of sizes. So I'm going to let these dry, and we'll come back and maybe do a little bit more on these paintings. Okay, so the white paint dried, white paint resembling the stars. It's a little watery. I should have made it thicker because you can kind of see the colors through it, but that's okay. What I'm going to do now is just take some black gouache. It's the same. It's just a simple, just Marie's gouache, and it's a lamp black. It's just a functional paint. You know, it's not fancy. It's not really high quality. But I'm going to take it here and make some little interesting backlit forest here. Forest trees. Hopefully I won't ruin it by doing this. But I'm just going to make a little, it's a little thick of a brush, but that's okay. Just some simple hints of something that look like it's got a, you know, a forest background. So I'm just going to give it some structure here. And these, you know, these kind of simple paintings are fun to do. They don't have to be serious. You don't have to do a great masterpiece to do some art. It's just a fun thing to do, and no, it gets you going. You're not missing on the art. You make sure that you get your art in one way or the other, even if it's something simple like this. So, you know, don't miss out on painting because you want to make something perfect, or you want to make something really look you know, fantastic. It's got to be a finished piece. Everything doesn't have to be a finished piece. You know, just have some fun. And that's what I'm doing here. I don't, I've been spending a lot of time working on the studio this year, working on building it, if you've been following along. And during like October, November, December, once I got the stovepipe in, I decided to take a little bit of a break from it because it just was constant. If you've ever done anything where you're having to do it all the time, like being a college student taking college curriculum, it just, after a while, it's just very tedious, and you don't want to do it anymore. Sometimes it just gets to you, so you just want to break from it. And that's kind of how I felt with the studio, because it was every weekend, constantly. It wasn't like you know, I would do it for a week and then I take 2 weeks off. I was racing against the clock. I kind of had to watch what I was doing, you know, as far as my time, and get it all done, you know. So it was one of those things that just seemed like it was going on and on. And it was. I mean, you know, you could only work so much in the summer heat. I didn't have a shelter to go under. I didn't have air conditioning inside to get out of it once I was finished for the day. So a lot of times I just finished at like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, you know, a little before 12. I just couldn't do it anymore. Physically, it was just too much. And with that kind of thing, you have to listen to your body, especially when you're doing something that is very, it's very heavy work. It wasn't, you know, just light typing papers or something. It was heavy work, and hauling all these bits of lumber back and forth, it gets to you after a while. It's very tiring, very tedious. Wish I could make that a little thinner up there. But You know, things in nature, look at that. Things in nature are not perfect. You will not have perfect, you know, triangular trees. If you look and see, if you go in the woods, if you have some trees in your backyard, or if you go to a park or somewhere in nature, you'll see that the trees are just not perfect. No plants are. They're not as what we call perfect shapes. Even little leaves have different variations on them. I should actually be using a thinner brush on this if I want to get some kind of a nice look to it. But yeah, that's a little too thick. Let me see if I can get a thinner brush going here. I didn't want to do that because it's going to take me forever to finish this. Thinner looks better, but I'm just giving it a hint of foliage. I'm not even really worrying about the shape or anything like that. It's just kind of a general shape. That's all I'm doing, and I like the bigger one better. So see, you even have to experiment with your things as you go along. This is the one that, of course, is going to take me a longer time because I'm doing this here on a larger picture. It's not a little thumbnail. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to mess with it. It kind of gives a hint, gives enough of a hint of trees there. Do the same thing with these for the sake of interest. Get some of these going. I like working with tape because you can just kind of go beyond the end of the tape. You don't have to make it, you know, you don't have to worry about where your paper ends. It just does it for you. And I'm just doing the same kind of thing. Since I guess I'm in a holiday mood here, I'm going to keep working on kind of holiday trees. I didn't put one up this year. I did too much this year, and I just couldn't do it. It's too much. We adopted 2 cats this year, which was great, but one of them is extremely rambunctious, and the shelter we got them from went away from caging animals, which I'm glad for. However, they went toward building these gyms, you know, these jungle things the cats can jump up on, shelves up all the way up the wall and such. And they're in the habit of doing that. They're in the habit of climbing up everything, and it makes them very naughty. You know, they'll knock everything over. So I just had visions of trees being demolished by them. You know, wake up in the middle of the night, hear a big crash. You know, they're having fun, which is great, but I really didn't want to clean up the mess. And you know, they're still, even though we got them in toward a little late spring, they're still settling in and getting used to our routine. So it was just as well. Maybe next year I'll do it. I don't know. It depends how I feel. I totally expect to have the studio finished by this summer, because I've done all the structural work. So I don't have any more of that to do as far as framing or anything like that. I do have the rest of the paneling to do inside. I've got to get some kind of flooring going. And outside I do have to have some kind of covering on it. I have to have some kind of siding on the outside. So that is going to be my priority, because I do have to protect it from the weather permanently. I right now have just a temporary fix for the winter, and it's serving its purpose, which is good, though we haven't had much snow. But I have to do something more permanent. And once I get that done, I'm sure I'll be able to spend more time in here, which I'm really looking forward to. I really want to use some of my supplies. I've done a lot of unboxings, I've gotten a lot of supplies, and I'm just itching to use them, but I have no place to spread out and do it. So, all right, so a little bit more here I'm going to do, and then we're going to call it quits. We're going to think about the paper. I really like the texture on this Meeden paper. If you can kind of see that in some of these areas. I'll probably do a close-up a little later on so you can take a better look, but I really like the texture on this. It is a little bit mechanical, but it's got a nice, I don't know, sometimes when you look at a watercolor that's done on a cold press paper, the paper itself makes it, just gives it so much character. And this is one of those papers that seems to have that kind of texture. You know, it's kind of nice. And I think a lot of that is, you know, up to each individual. Some people like a more textured paper, some people don't. Some of the papers you get have a very mechanical texture. Others don't. Others are very organic, like they're random. It's a random pattern, and it doesn't detract from what you're looking at as far as what the painting subject matter is. So that is nice when you have that. I really shouldn't put 2 there because 2 is kind of a funny thing, as you know. In paintings and drawings, you don't want to really do an even number, but you know, this is just for fun. And this is something I wanted to do because it's very easy to follow along with. If you're making one yourself, if you're doing something like this, it's very easy to do, doesn't have to be exact, and you can get a really nice result too. It's very simple. It's a very simple thing to do. And you can put anything like this in silhouette. I mean, I've seen, you know, telephone poles and houses, and you can even put animals in silhouette if you have a deer or something like that. It kind of makes it look more dramatic if you have an animal in there, and you know, it's enough shape to make out what it is, but you don't have to draw a lot of detail if you're not good at drawing or you don't feel like drawing, but it's still a fun project to do. So there it is. I don't know, what do you think? I kind of think that the Meeden paper is the best of all of them. I kind of like this one the least. It looks a little dull, although it could be the choice of colors I chose. This one seems maybe comparable to the Meeden. All nice papers. They're all, you know, nice cotton. I like the feel of the papers. I like all of them. They all have that cotton feel to them. This one I like the most, I think, as far as the feel. Doesn't have that much of a texture. It has a little texture, but not as much as the Meeden. This one hardly has any texture at all that you could see here. I don't know if you can. Try to move it a little bit so you can see. It has a little bit of a texture. This has more of what I was talking about as far as organic texture, whereas the Meeden has a little bit more of a mechanical texture. I'm really hoping that's picking it up. And then this one, I'll take this off so that you can see what the texture is. Did I just get that? That's still wet, so I have to be careful how I'm peeling this off. But I want to give you an idea. So let me go ahead and peel that off and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I peeled that one off. So this one has a bit of a texture. This is a slight texture. It's a little bit repetitive, so you could probably say it's mechanical, but because it's such a slight texture, it doesn't get in the way. So here's the pictures. You can see that one's still a little bit wet. You can see it does pick up the texture a little bit on that. And let's peel the tape on these. This is just an old, back of an old sketchbook that I kept for this purpose. Okay, I am having a problem, I think, because it's so cold in here. I don't have the heat on. Oh no. Yeah, I should have warmed it up a little bit. I just ruined that one because it's so cold in here. It's not so great for this, but there we go. There's just something so satisfying about peeling the tape, isn't there? I love doing this. On a sketchbook, it's great. You know, you worked on a painting for a while and you finally get to peel the tape off. I'm gonna work on that and pull that up. Let me take it off this side here. And I'll give you a closer look at how the texture looks on the paper. So this one is the median. So you can see that texture on that. Hopefully it's focusing all right. And then the other one here, texture on that one. So I hope you did enjoy this. I hope you got a little bit of something out of it. It helps you if you may want to get some of these types of papers. But I thought I would just do a test on that, see how they all would compare with each other. So I thank you for watching today. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it and hit that like button. That does help me. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I will bring you some more videos as soon as I can.